It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Piper. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about managing performance behaviors and using emotional intelligence to lead folks even better than you're doing now. Should be interesting. What's going on, Piper? How you doing?
Hey, Che, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me today. It's great to be with you.
Well, thanks here for being here. We appreciate it. And thank all the viewers for watching, by the way. You have choices and you choose to be with us. So thank you so much. Before we get started, let's just address what I call the elephant in the room on this call. Let's say that. And let's talk about emotional intelligence. I mean, it means different things to different people. So you mind, Piper, first telling us what is your definition of emotional intelligence so we know what it is, and why is it so important to managers and leaders these days?
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity. So, to simplify emotional intelligence for me, when I look at that, it is being aware of how you are feeling and how those feelings are driving what you say, how you act, and your thoughts. And a lot of that plays into whether you're just engaging with people or managing with people, because in managing other people, if they're not aware of their emotions, they may be coming to you from an emotional state. Maybe something that they just engaged with a coworker has triggered them to feel a certain way. So in the midst of their communication, they're not just coming to you and say, "Hey, can we have a conversation?" There is another layer of emotions that's actually driving that, and they may be communicating to you in a way that's not engaging, that is already putting up walls. And so when you are emotionally aware, you can identify your own triggers that may come into play when you're trying to manage someone else's behaviors. Or you may be able to identify when an employee is showing up to you or with engaging with others at a place that may be triggered by the way that they are feeling. And sometimes they're not always aware of that. It may be a matter of you recognizing it because you have this emotional intelligence and been able to just kind of talk them down a little by choosing your words carefully and being very selective in what you say and how you say that, so that you can bring them out of that emotional state and have a effective professional conversation.
You talk about effective professional conversation. Thanks for sharing. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll get into her background. We'll tell you how she'll find out how some folks have already read your bio, so they know how famous you are, by the way. Other folks have already Googled you and said, who is this person talking? What's this going to be about? For those of you that don't know who she is, in a minute, we'll have her talk about her background. But before we do that, managing behaviors, and you guys are seeing that right there. You're like, whoa, we're talking about managing behaviors, performance behaviors with emotional intelligence. Well, I know it begs the question, wasn't the LL Cool J our performance behaviors? I'd like to know myself. So can you take a moment and talk about what are, I don't know, performance behaviors so we can, us entrepreneurs can be on the same page as well?
Sure. So when you, and I like to try to keep things just simple, so that everyone can understand them. So when we talk about behaviors, we're talking about what's driving this employee to do a certain task a certain way, or what's actually driving them to complete the task or to perform something. What is that that's saying, okay, this is the way that I'm going to go about dealing with this situation? Typically, when there is a behavior, when you think about a behavior, you think about like your children, how they may engage with others, and you say, well, that's not the best way to build a relationship or to engage with someone. It's the way that they are performing that may not necessarily be in that person's best interest or in the best interest of trying to get the result that's desired. And so when you think about that, again, that performance, I want to keep using the word, but it is the action that is taken in order to get a result. And sometimes when the behavior is not where it needs to be, and let's take for an example, maybe it's an employee that you are working with that can't seem to get their tasks done. And it's because they are always late to work. They're never really focused on the task at hand, and they don't ask the right questions. So when we look at these behaviors that they have, they can be counterproductive, meaning that this is that person's norm. This is how they normally behave. They just don't have good time management. They don't have the ability to ask the right questions. This is just how they perform, and it's become their norm. Well, as a manager, you say, okay, I understand that this is how you've always done it, but it is not effective in this role, and is not giving us the results that we need to get in order for you to be a high performer in this role. So let's take a step back and let's look at that. Let's look at why you are taking these action steps in moving towards that goal that's not getting the result that we want. Where can we make some changes in that? And what you may find is that they are just completely disengaged in the role because they just have no interest, or they don't understand the role. So with that, there may be some emotions that are playing into the action steps that they're taking. And so with that, you don't get to understand that until you start to have those deep dive conversations with the employee, so that you, and it's almost coaching is what's really coming into play here. So you're asking the right questions to really determine what is it that's creating these steps, the actions that they are doing on a regular basis, and still not getting those results. So that's where the manager could kind of really look at this and say, okay, so this isn't working. This is what you're doing, but this is where we need you to be. So let's look at the steps that we can take for change. Let's look at what I can do as a manager to help you in the areas of development, or where you feel like you may need some assistance to start creating some type of shift to have you moving in a different direction by taking different action steps. And that's where the behaviors start to change, and you start to create a new trajectory of how that person is moving, almost just like really shifting habits, behaviors, what they're used to doing, what's their norm, and creating a new norm to help them to get different results.
I love it. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll get into her background in just a moment, and we'll put a pin because some of you are thinking, what about me? And just so you know, the audience, number of them are dualpreneurs. They work a full-time job and they're a full-time entrepreneur. Some folks are listening and saying, well, what if I don't have folks that directly report to me? Can I apply these principles and these behaviors? I don't know what they call them. I haven't worked in corporate America in 20 years, but individual contributors, maybe, if that's still even a term. And so we're going to put a pin now. We're going to come back because some of you are like, whoa, can I use this to manage people that don't report directly to me, but I got to get things done through them? Good question. Maybe that's in your organization. We'll come back to that. But first, some of you are meeting for the first time. Some of you, believe it or not, they don't know who you are. And we got started. So we'll slow down and then we'll speed back up. So let's take a moment because they want to know, who's this person talking? You know the question. What's the backstory? Which is, who are you? And then what was that defining moment that led you to really help folks understand how to lead people better?
Great, thank you. And just to this, the last part of that, I think when I got started, it was to help people lead themselves better.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we started there. And so, again, my name is Piper Moore. I am a motivational speaker. I'm also an executive coach, and I coach mid level to senior level leaders. And I like to coach people to where they are effective leaders, both in the workplace as well as in life. I am also a strategic HR leader. So I've had a very progressive career in human resources. My experience has spanned multiple industries. I've had experience in government, financial, the retail industry, as well as manufacturing. I believe, though, that my sole purpose is to help others find their purpose and their potential, and then to create a path forward.
I love it, by the way. Y'all see she has the book Purpose behind it. Is there, I know y'all want to know what the name of it is. So can you grab, I mean, I don't want to mess your behind it, but there's a book that we can all see because we're nosy, and it says Purpose. Yeah, what's the name of the book?
So we
She
have
got two books, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
have two books. So, yes, thank you for asking. So, I have Purpose in Your Pain, and this is how to use personal pain uh, for professional gain. I had to think about that. And then I have the New Beginnings Journal.
Okay.
And this is just a journal for you to kind of create your own journal. And I say you write your own story when you're writing in the New Beginnings Journal. So it is has coaching questions in it to help you really just take hold of your journey. And so this is the other one. I'm sorry, I think I may have moved that too fast.
No, no, that's fine. It's right there. We see it purpose, and we're going to talk
Yes.
about how to get your hands on it. And so we got two parts. We got, and we'll
Okay.
get to them. The first one is for we're gonna come back to the purpose in a moment. The first one is for the person that says, "I like what you're saying. I am in corporate share, or I'm in business, or I'm work for a nonprofit. Some of you might work at a government agency. You're like, a lot of what I have to do now, Shay. I've got to work through others who don't directly report to me. So I don't do the performance appraisal. They're not really there, but I can't get my work done if I don't work through them. How can they use emotional intelligence, and does this apply to them? And what's maybe one idea you have for that person?
Yeah, so emotional intelligence applies to everyone. And I think you first have to be able to identify what it means to you before you can actually start to apply it to others. And so, for that individual that's working in groups, being aware of yourself is where it's going to start, because you can't always control or change others, but it starts with you. And what that means is maybe you are an individual that likes things done now. And so when it's not happening as quickly as you want, and sometimes when you're in the space of being on a team, it's not going to happen as quickly as you want. You have this trigger that tells you, okay, now this is going to frustrate me. This is going to make me upset because I can't function this way. You have to recognize that trigger that's now causing you to act in a way that says you want to rush everything, and it may cause you to communicate ineffectively. It may cause you to appear to be aggressive or just overly assertive when you're engaging with someone. Now, if you are, which we know that can take a totally negative turn when you're working in a team and trying to get some results. But when you are aware that this trigger just happened and you feel your emotions shifting, then you can take a step back and pause and say, okay, I recognize this in myself. What's going to be the best way for me to move forward? And how do I control how I'm feeling right now before I move forward? So that's just an example of how you begin to control it in yourself so that you can continue having these great relationships and working within a team. Also, with taking that pause and recognizing your own trigger and your own emotions, it's going to cause you to communicate to your team members a little bit differently, so they can actually understand what it is that you are wanting to communicate, what you're needing to communicate, and what you're trying to say. Because sometimes when our emotions are driving our thoughts and what we say, it doesn't come out right, and we can try to retract it, but once it's out there, it's out there. So it starts with your own awareness of what's going on inside of you and how that is really guiding your thoughts and your and the things that your actions and what you're going to say.
And what I like about what you're saying most about it, ladies and gentlemen, is everything she's talking about. It sounds like, I'll put a Shea Brown spin on it. It's on you. I mean, there's
Yeah.
things that you can do to control yourself to help you be a better, effective communicator to get more done. She's not saying go make someone else do something. She's talking about a lot what you can do, and she even has a whole book behind. And that's the Shea Brown remix. I went to DC public school, so don't judge me, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I'm walking with. You might have your own version, and that's cool as well. But I'm
Yeah.
curious. You talk about purpose in the background, and for those folks that want to make sure they're in their purpose, and this is a very loaded question, but you can handle it the best you can. And that is, how does one know if they're in their purpose? Again, a loaded question, because I know, you can't talk to everybody listening and watching now, but if you had to give some pointers and someone's listening saying, man, Shay, am I in my purpose? It's changed over the years. I was married and now the kids are grown, or I was doing this and now I've reached this level. So here's the question. It's not about Shay Brown. It's not a counseling session, but how does one know when they're in their purpose?
Powerful question. And I think the best, I cannot just give like Webster's dictionary's definition of this, okay? The best way that I can explain it is from my own personal experience. And for me, when sometimes when you understand your purpose, it's hard to accept this is my purpose. This is what I'm here to do, and this is where I'm going to make the greatest impact. I think the one way that I was able to recognize it is because I was like coaching. That's just part of what I am and who I am, is to make a difference for others, and to do that basically through my words. Um, Knowing that you're in your purpose for me was to be in this space where I didn't have to put in a lot of effort to make an impact. I didn't have to really try, but I was still making an impact. When people were connecting with me just because of conversations that we were having, I had to recognize the pattern that was there and their why. And that became my purpose. I felt fulfilled when I was sitting with someone, or speaking to a group, and I could see change start to happen in them. I can see a shift that they may not have been able to make prior to having a conversation with me. And again, it's almost effortlessly that I'm making these impacts. And so when I recognize that, and it feels so natural inside of me, I said, okay, this has to be purpose, because I'm not putting forth any effort. I didn't set out to do this, and I, there's been times when I say that, okay, this doesn't seem to be going the way that I thought it would go. Maybe this is not my purpose. And then I'm pulled right back into it. It's like I can't even talk myself out of it. And so that's when I know, okay, this is what you were meant to do. This is what you will do every day when you wake up. This is, even if you try to run from it, I'm pulling you back into it. This is your purpose. This is why it feels so natural. There is no push to make this happen. There's not a lot of effort in making that impact. It is just who I am and what I do. Now, when I talk about like the book, Purpose in Your Pain, we all go through pain, and we define that pain differently. But understanding that everything you go through is for a reason. And often we may not know what that reason is for years down the road. But when you can accept the fact that there's always a purpose in anything that we endure, any change that comes into our life, it helps you to get through that season a little bit better, because you feel like, I may not know understand it right now, but later on I will get this. I will understand, and I can look back and say, oh, that was the purpose for that pain. And that was my experience, and it continues. As long as we keep living, we're going to always have those cycles. There's always going to be some level of pain, but when you remember you've been there before, maybe this is what I've learned from that, and I can apply it now to where this pain is not going to stifle me. I'm going to continue to press forward. So purpose is effortlessly moving forward and making impact, and it feels so natural. That's the best way I could describe it, because that's been my experience.
Well, let me say that was a great definition in a short amount of time, and it's a great segue to a segment that we have here called "Today Is My January 1st," and we're going to ask the question in a moment to find out if there's ever been any setback in your life. Was every challenge? Yeah, it sounds like it's been perfect, ladies and gentlemen. She just cruises along with emotional intelligence, helping the
Yeah.
world, helping HR, telling them what to do. But we'll find out. But for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we do during this segment. You might even wait for this magical moment to say those words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you, by the way. And for all the new folks who are joining for the very first time, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneurship family. We're glad you're here. Today is our January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start, by the way. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny the past has been, the past really no longer equals our future. And so my question for Piper on the other side is really two parts. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st. What do you hear? And number two, well, was there ever a setback in your life? Was there ever a challenge in your life? And if it was, how did you bounce back from it?
Okay. So you want to know what my January 1st is as of today, correct? Make
Yeah,
sure
the
I'm getting
question is twofold. When you hear today's my January 1st, what kind of goes to your mind? And then two, was there ever a setback any time in your life, a setback that you had to bounce back from and, that you feel comfortable sharing with? If there was any, maybe there was not. Maybe life's been perfect. But if there was, what was a setback that you had in life or work, and how did you kind of turn that around? How did you bounce back? That's really what we love to know if it's ever happened to you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I want to say that my January 1st, I know we don't want to look back, but when I say think about my January 1st, when that change happened, and it says no looking back, we're going to go ahead and progress, and this is what you're going to do. For me, it actually happened in 2024. So it's been recent. It just happened last year, and it was a pivotal moment when I realized that I recognized what was going to bring me success and make me fulfilled. Often we have wonder, or well, actually we have success but don't feel fulfilled in that. And having that awakening moment gave me direction on what I needed to pursue in order to be fulfilled and successful. So I sought that out. I was able to get the training and development that I needed to better invest into the company. And so what I learned in that is that now I have the skill set and the ability to do both, have a successful career and still make that impact without having to abandon my HR career. Because what I learned through this process is that there's overlap. Everything I do is people related. And so when I coach, I speak, or I'm in human resources, it's all to elevate others. And so every piece of me, it's almost I've gotten to the place to where I now realize all of me comes into everything that I do. So there doesn't have to be a great separation between anything that I do. And I can now move forward and have success and fulfillment in all areas of my life. Now, as we talk about that fulfillment, I've had I've had a lot of challenges in life, which hence the book Purpose in Your Pain. But as we're talking to entrepreneurs and we talk about business, one of I'm going to say it's experience, because I think everything we do, we should learn from that. So, one of the experiences that I had was starting my business and then providing the service without having a foundation for the business. And so what that mean is that I was so gun ho about providing the services. I wanted to be an executive coach. I did that, and I was doing that just by making phone calls and introducing myself and by referrals and recommendations. And it worked until it didn't work. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, you haven't even built the business. I didn't know the financials. And someone once said that if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And there's a lot of truth in that. And so for me, it caused me to step back multiple times because now I didn't know how much I needed to make, in order to just break even. I didn't know about having a marketing budget. I didn't know that I should have had a budget for my own training and development and memberships, et cetera, et cetera. And even in that process, I learned that there's even a cost associated with providing pro bono services. So there's a lot that goes into running a business. And I recommend to anyone, build the business before you start to provide the services. And so that was a true learning experience for me because it did set me back to where I felt like I was starting over, and I kind of started over multiple times to get to where I am now. So it was just a great learning experience.
I love it. Thanks for being vulnerable. Thanks for being so authentic with us, man. We certainly appreciate that. One of the questions I like to ask when we have time, we have a few minutes now, and that is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll preface it for the audience so we know, as you come off the mountain with the 10 commandments here, okay, you've had more mentors you can probably remember these days. I'm sure you've read more books. I mean, than you can recall, trainings and, all the type of, you've been through so many, and 10,000 hours. I mean, heck, you can do that on your phone with your thumb on the weekend these days. But if you had to step back and say, wow, here's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given, what would it be? And why is it so near and dear to you?
That's a very good question. For me, I am an introvert. You
Really?
wouldn't know it. You really, and I say that because I love being around people, so you really wouldn't know it. But I've always been such a strong introvert. And so going to networking events, uncomfortable, don't care to do that. I don't want to have to do a cold call. I don't, if I can just stay in my space and smile and be happy and, I would be good. But I had a mentor tell me once that people have to meet you. They have to be in your presence. They have to experience you. They have to experience your energy because that's the person you are. You have to get out. So it was not an option. And it was so amazing because when he told me that, he was telling me a lot about myself that I didn't see in myself. And when I took ownership of that, there was such a huge shift in my opportunities that started to come my way and the relationships that I built. So, the greatest advice I received was basically to show up and be authentic to who you are so people can truly experience all that you are.
I love it. By the way, I love it. And as you were saying that, the one question that I do have, I know we're coming down the home stretch. I love that advice though. Is what does success look for you now, where you are? You talked about being successful. You talked about being fulfilled. For where you are now in your life and in your career, what does success even look like for you? What does it even feel like for you these days?
Success, yeah, and it does change. It changes with seasons. But for me right now, what it looks like is been able to continue to make an impact for others through my speaking and through my coaching, and seeing the results of that. We don't always see it immediately, but sometimes, like if I am speaking, I could look out at the audience and tell when change is happening. So to be a part of that. And then I also want to still continue in having that HR career because there's such a greater impact that I'm able to have when I'm in that space as well. So it's a little bit different between the two, but it's still having that impact. My fulfillment comes when I am waking up and I am doing this every day. And if I am touching one life and I am helping that person to be better or to see things differently, recognize their potential and their purpose, I am being successful in that. And that brings me true fulfillment.
When you're not out saving the world, talking HR talk, helping people find their purpose and their passion and all the cool stuff you're doing, writing books, what do you do for fun these days? Like, what does fun look like for you these days?
As an entrepreneur, you have to actually schedule that in. But I can tell you recently I started taking swim lessons. It's something that I've always wanted to do. So I
Swimming? Are
enjoy,
you swimming for the first time, or are you becoming a better swimmer?
okay, we got to be honest here, really for the first time.
Oh, congratulations! No, no,
I
because
attempted
I'm just
lessons
I want to take
before.
swimming lessons. I told my wife that because I never really I can float and I
Yeah.
learned how to do it like at the pool back in the day. But that's cool. Congratulations to you.
Yes, thank you. But I also enjoy traveling. I like I like creating different new experiences. So if I could get with some friends and we go visit a new restaurant, I enjoy doing that because that's something new. But then again, like I said, I like to travel, I like to work out, anything outdoors, I enjoy that as well.
Okay, okay. Well, you can't even hang. Everybody wants to know, well, what's one of her places you like to travel to. You can't. I mean, you can't just throw travel out and that's it. Well, I like this. I know you like all the places, but what's one of the spots you like to kind of go to, relax to? Any one pop
Yeah.
in mind?
Oh, Jamaica always pops in mind. That's like my go-to. I love it. I love it. And I've gone by myself. I love it that much. So, Caribbean, anything. And so there's a lot of different places I want to visit. But Jamaica, you see, Jamaica makes me smile.
I
So,
saw it. You just lit up. You're like,
yes,
yes. That is so
yes,
cool. That's cool. Well, as we come down the home stretch, two-part
yes.
question. Number one,
Okay.
what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? I'm not sure if your company's taking on any clients, so that'd be good to know for the audience. And number two, how can folks connect with you? Like, where should they go? Is there a website? Is there a place? And certainly they want to get the book, I'm sure, as well. So two questions. Number one, what type of clients you're looking for? And number two, how can they connect with you? Folks that want to know more about you and learn about you.
Yes, I'm happy to share that. So, my ideal client is middle management. So, these are individuals who may have just been They're in their first to their fifth year of being individual contributors that's been promoted into management. So they're managing people. And then I can also work with senior level managers and leaders because that's where my executive coaching comes into play. So that is my ideal client. But when I say that, I develop leaders for workplace and for life, I also want to work with individuals who are leaders in their respective roles. So that may be maybe they're managing their household and they are really trying to grasp a hold of how to do better and get different results. I want to work with that person as well. Contacting me, you can contact me through my website, which is pipermoore.com. You can follow me on Facebook, and you can follow me on Facebook either at the personal page, which is Piper V Moore, is a public page, and then also at PM Morning on Facebook as well.
Let me say two things. Number one, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So you're giving us the most precious resource you have, which is your time. So thank you so much.
It has been a pleasure, Shay. Thank you for the invitation.
And thank you to viewers for tuning in, by the way, because, well, without you, well, we don't have a show. So we appreciate it. You have a lot of choices and you choose to be with us. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're going to that next level of purpose and success, you talked about purpose and success, or you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming. The one thing I do believe is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, it hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. We out of here. Thanks a lot. We'll see y'all on the other side. Peace. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we'll see you later.
Thank you.